Today we are learning the waistcoat stitch. So I'm going to start with a chain of 25. With this one, you can start with any number of chains that works for you. I'm going to chain 25 and I'll be right back. And now that I have 25, I'm going to chain one more for our turning chain. And we are just going to work our single crochets all the way across the row. So single crochet in each of these chains. And we are going to mark our first stitch there just so that we can keep track of where our last stitch is on our return row. I always like to do this to give a little reminder of where I'm going to be ending, just in case it's hard to find the stitch. That's what I like to do. And I will meet you back at the end of this row. All right, I have finished my row and I'm going to chain one and turn. And now this is where the difference happens. Oh, the first single crochet is going to be the same as a normal single crochet. So you're just going to single crochet right into that top right there. And now this is where it changes. All right, so you see on this stitch how you have two bars on the top here. You see that? And then you have these two legs down here coming out of those bars. You're going to be working right in the center of that. That is where your hook is going to go. And if you're having trouble finding this or you have a difficulty getting your hook into that space, try to do your last row a little bit looser if you are struggling getting into that space. But you're going to go right between those two legs there. And it's going to be different than your normal single crochet. It's going to feel different and you're going to have to get used to the feeling of that because it is a little bit more difficult than going in the top there. All right, so I have the two loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn around and pull through those two. So that is just finishing that single crochet. Now I'm going to go into the next one. Again, it's made up of the same structure. You've got your two bars, your two horizontal bars there, and then you have your two legs there, and you're working into the center. And that's completing your single crochet. And then the next stitch is exactly the same. It's the same all the way around. You have your two horizontal bars, and then you have the two legs right there. It's going to take a little bit getting used to this new space that you're working into, but you'll get it. Okay, and you're working that all the way across. So those two bars and the legs in between. Those two bars, two legs down there, right in between. Let's see on the other side how it's forming those V's there on the other side. So you're just going to continue this all the way to the end of your row and stop before you get to your last, or stop before your last stitch here. And we're at the end of our row, and you can see that we have worked into this stitch. And I do have one left there, but what I'm going to do instead of working there, I'm going to work right into the top, just so that we give both of our edges a nice clean a nice clean edge with the two just regular single crochets on the ends here. And then all the rest will be the waistcoat stitch, just to give some uniformity, just because these are offset just a tiny bit because they stack on top of the other ones a little differently than working into the top of it. So we're just going to work our first and last stitch into the top of the stitch just like normal. And I'm going to chain one and turn my work. Okay, so chain one, turn my work. Going to work that first one as a regular single crochet. And then you can see that the V's are a little bit more prominent now, or the upside down V's, the legs there. So it will be easier to work into on this row. So you can see them a lot clearer. So just single crochet in there. You can see those two horizontal bars and then the two legs there. It's a much clearer spot to work in. That first row always seems pretty difficult. And you're just going to do that all the way across. You can see those V's forming where it looks like they're stacked on top of each other. It looks like a very dense knit stitch. But I'm going to work to the end of this row and I'll meet you at the last stitch just so we can go over that again. All right, so I'm chain one and turn. I'm going to do just a regular single crochet on the first stitch there. And I'm going to work into this first stitch. You see how there's that V there? And when we go through here, another thing we want to check is the other side. We want to make sure that our hook is going into that V that's on the opposite side, so that those are stacked on top of each other. See how it landed right in between that V there? And then that one right there was the one we just did. And here between those two legs, push that through. Let's see, we have those two legs on either side of the hook. Means you're in the right spot, so finish your single next stitch, those two legs. Remember how you can find it. You've got your two horizontal bars, and then you've got the two legs there going in between. And the other side, making sure you go through that little V section there. And you're not going to need to check the back side of it every time. It's just getting used to the feel of it, because there will be a point where you do a stitch and you're like, oh, that didn't feel right. So you will have to go back and fix it. I find it really helpful to use my finger to pull this whole thing right over my hook to direct it there. That spot right there. Pull that through. So I'm going to show you something that you don't want to do. So you going in this same spot, when you come up through, see we're going through into that upside down V there. What you don't want to do is go through like on the side of it. You see how I missed that? That is going to mess up the look of your stitches being stacked on top of each other. You also don't want to go on the opposite side of that V. See the V's right there, and then that your hook is on the wrong side. You want to make sure that you're going through those two right there. Okay, and then two bars and those two legs of the stitch right in the center, going through. And you're just going to do this all the way across And then remember that your last stitch of this row is just a regular single crochet. And then all your rows are just done exactly the same. I'm just making a square, so it just really depends on what your project size is. You could make a blanket with this and, you know, whatever size you want, whatever stitch count you want. But I will meet you at the end of this row just to start one more row again with you. All right, and I have finished that row. I did my chain 1 and I turned my work, and I'm going to do my 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then my second stitch is going into that one right there. And did I go all the way through? See, I did that on the wrong side. I need to be over right there. So I'm going to correct that. And don't let this stitch intimidate you, because you can do it. This is just single crochet and it's just going into a different part of the stitch. It's just a, you know, a little bit of learning a new location of where the stitch goes, but the stitch is exactly the same. It's the same single crochet. So don't let it scare you. You can do this. It could take a little bit of practice. I mean, you saw me, I was, you know, messing up on my location of where my stuff was going or where my hook was landing. And that is okay, because any of this you can tear out and you can redo it. It's not a problem. Practice is a great thing, because every time you do something and it doesn't come out the way that you want, you do learn something new. So don't get frustrated with yourself. And if you feel yourself getting frustrated, put it down, go do something different, go have some fun with that, relax, and then come back to this. And a lot of the time, your thoughts will be clearer, your frustration will have gone away, so you can see where it is that you went wrong and what you can change to make it better. So just be patient with yourself. You can do this. So just go ahead and make this project as large as you would want. You can make a scarf out of this. A really nice thing about this one, and I will compare this when my swatch is done, I'll compare this to what a regular single crochet looks like, so that you can see the difference of the 2 stitches and how they're a little bit different. All right, so keep going with that, and I will meet you back here when this is all done, and I'll do a comparison with the regular single crochet with you. All right, and we are all set with the waistcoat stitch. This is what a regular single crochet looks like. You can see the difference here. See, there's more V's right there. It's like stacked on top of each other. And this one is just the regular single crochet. So, wanted you to see the difference there. This one you can also see is a little bit more stretchy, and you can see through those holes a little bit. But if you look at this one, it's a lot more dense. You can even see like this one's more flexible, more floppy, and this one is very sturdy and more dense. So this one, when you stretch, you cannot see through it as well. This would be a really good stitch for pot holders. You'd use cotton, 100% cotton, not this acrylic, but using the stitch with 100% cotton would be a wonderful pot holder, because when you pull things out of the oven, it's very dense, and your fingers are not going to poke through those holes and catch the hot pan. So that is a really good stitch for pot holders. And that is our waistcoat stitch. And thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Thank you so much. I'll see you later.